Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today it is Monday, June 22nd, 2026. What a blessing to be present with all of us here for all of these years and months with Michelle and John. Penny, thank you. It's broadcast 1574. Tara and Lydia, Scott, good to see you. Judy and Rosa, Boker Tov, Shavua Tov, good to see all of you. Hi, Rose. Andrew, Arlene, nice to see all of you. We'll say a few more hellos and then we'll get started with some learning. All right, Ron, nice to see you too. Hi, Jerry. Hi, Arlene. Hi, Linda. All right. Let's take a breath, sing a bracha, learn some Torah. Here we go. במצוותיו וציווני לעסוק בדברי תורה, לעסוק בדברי תורה, הפוך בה והפוך בה, לעסוק בדברי Torah. Today I Today I Good morning, friends. Just juxtaposing two comments. Carl, you're saying good morning from Starbucks, and Jack, your coffee maker just broke. I see the two of you have a conversation you can have, and in honor of both of you and Jack, I hereby dedicate whatever caffeine rush I get straight to you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shekol niyeh bidvaro. Okay, now we can get started. It's good to see all of you. Hope that you and yours are safe and well. Let's look at this week's double Torah portion together. It's our first time talking about it this year. Chukat-Balak. It brings us toward the end of the book of Numbers. And remember that the theme of the book of Numbers over and over is rebellion, 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 a chafing against authority. Sometimes it's an attack from beyond the tribe, and sometimes it's dissension within the ranks. We have seen lots of different versions of rebellion, of questioning of authority. Just last week, we looked at Parshat Korach, and Korach is the story of a cousin fighting for more prominence and more power within a family. Chukat-Balak is a different kind of thing, and we'll get to how that connects to the theme later. But I want to begin just with the word chukat, which is the name of the Torah portion, which is a conjugation of the word chok. Chok. Chok means law, a ritual law. And according to tradition, there are two different categories of mitzvah, two different categories of commandment. There is chok and there is mishpat. And you would see in a regular translation almost the same word for both, law or rule or teaching. But a chok, according to our understanding, and this is true in a scholarly approach and in a traditional approach, those are not always the same thing. A chok is a law that has no explanation. It is the rule because it is the rule. Mishpat is a rule that has an explanation. It's a logical rule. Theoretically, we could come up with all of the mishpatim, all of those rational rules because we are trying to build a community. But a chok we wouldn't come up with. A good example of chok, by the way, is kashrut, is keeping kosher. There have been those over the years, over the centuries, millennia, who've tried to explain the why of kashrut. But the why for kashrut is because it says so, because that's how we do things. There's a great joke about this. You might have heard it. God says to Moses, it's not from this week's Torah portion, God says to Moses, don't cook a kid in its mother's milk. That's the biblical command for kashrut. And Moses hears this, don't cook a kid in its mother's milk. And he says back to God, oh, so what you're saying is any animal and any milk should never be combined. And God says, don't cook a kid in its mother's milk. And Moses says, wait, so that means that we need to wait hours after having meat before we have milk. And we should include chicken, even though it doesn't make milk, as meat. But fish is not meat. And God says, don't cook a kid in its mother's milk. And Moses says, wait, oh, so that means we need a set of dishes for dairy and a set of dishes for meat, and we need rabbinic supervision on food, but not just any rabbi, specific rabbis. That's what you're talking about? And God finally looks at Moses and says, have it your way. And it's a funny joke, but it does tell you what tradition does. Often, when there's no rationale for a rule, it can become an entire galaxy of thinking. And people who think they understand the meaning of it will then apply it in big, big ways. Well, that's what a chok can be, but it's true that rational laws can also become more irrational over time. Let's look at the chok of this week's Torah portion. You might have heard of the para aduma. It's the red heifer. Now, something to remember, because we read about this in the book of Leviticus and Vayikra, is that a kohen, a priest, in order to serve, cannot come into contact with the dead. And if you do come into contact with the dead and you're a kohen, you have to undergo a ritual of purification so that you can regain the status of access to the holy so that you can serve. And there have been many who see that rule as a chok as well. It just says so in the Torah. A good analysis by Mary Douglas and by Jacob Milgram of blessed memory and other scholars and commentators point out a theme, which is that the Kohen is accessing the source of life, and the source of life is incompatible with the presence of death. It's a very powerful juxtaposition. But regardless of that part of it, we have a different question, which is, what happens in the system where a Kohen is not allowed to come into contact with the dead if they do come into contact with the dead? Well, this is the rule. I'm just going to read you verse 2 of chapter 19 of the book of Numbers, and then share a thought about the specifics here. Zot chukat haTorah asher tziva Adonai lemor. This is the chok of the Torah, the chok meaning irrational law or mysterious law, or here, ritual law, that God commanded, so saying, Daber el bnei Yisrael v'ikchu elecha fara aduma. Speak to the children of Israel. You should find and bring to you a red heifer, tamima. There's no defect in it. Asher ein bamum, not even a blemish in the skin or in the limbs. Asher lo Allah aleha ol, that has never carried a yoke on its neck. And what will happen through this is that the priest will sacrifice it and take the ashes of the red heifer and mix it with mayim chayim, with water derived from a natural source. And then one kohen will sprinkle it onto the one that has come into contact with the dead. And soon after, the one who has come into contact with the dead will be kosher again to serve, regain the status of access to the holy. And it's a very strange rule. No matter what we do to it, no matter how we explain it, it's a red heifer whose ashes somehow are mixed into a potion that give the Kohen the power to be a Kohen once again. And while I want to analyze it and share with you many different comments by many different thinkers over the centuries, what I really want to do is appreciate its strangeness and love Torah more for it. It is true, let's speak about the chok nature of this, as opposed to mishpat. Chok, the irrational law, mishpat, the rational law. It is true that we have a hard time with authority. Do it because I said so. Go clean your room because I said so. Even if it's 2 a.m. and there's literally no car in sight, that stop sign says stop. It's the rule. The authority is why you do it. It's been commanded. That's why you do it. Not clean your room because it's really important to have a clean space and you want to stay healthy and it helps you organize your mind. Not stop at the stop sign because that way you are in the habit of always stopping at the stop sign, and the discipline of your behavior will activate when there are other people around, especially if you don't see them. Those are explanations for why you should listen to an irrational application of law. But the other one is, I'll say you, but I mean me. You don't know everything. You don't understand everything. Now let me say it I don't understand everything. I don't know everything. And the Torah might be saying through the system of chok, the system of these mysterious laws, this is a way to live your life remembering that you don't know everything. This is the mysterious. And the longer I live, the more I appreciate the Torah saying to me, child of Torah, you don't know everything. There are things beyond you. This para aduma, this red heifer, you can try to make sense of it, but that's not what it's there for. It's not there for you to make sense of it. It's there for you to do it, to see it, maybe to wonder about it, but to learn again what Emmanuel Levinas, the French Jewish philosopher, said, which is every piece of information I gain brings me one step closer to the abyss of my own ignorance. That doesn't mean I don't know anything. It means we don't know everything. And the Para Aduma is there as a reminder that there are things that tradition offers us that can hold us steady when we remember we don't know everything. And it is a gift to be taught this humility through our systems too. So, let's appreciate that. And let's love Torah more for it. Let's send our hearts to the east and sing. Kol hod balevav penima nefesh Yehudi homia ulefatei mizrach kadima ayin letzion tzofia od lo avda tikvateinu התקווה בת שנות 2000 להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון וירושלים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון Virushalayim. Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, my friends.